Another run-and-filled special. I'm Wright with the retro review of WCW Nitro from January 23rd, 2001. And fucking hell, could you tell that this company was going under really goddamn soon? Hell, they even mentioned the corporate merger to start the show. Man, this company, this show, just everything was so fucking goddamn gutted. Even when they tried to have some good storylines or have some good potential feuds juiced up, everything was just done. The company was just dying. It was absolutely fucking rotting from the inside out. And I don't even know if a fucking reboot with Bischoff's group would have actually helped. Do you think it would have? Let me know in the comments. But boy, I'm so glad I only got about 2 months worth of content to get out of WCW 2001. Even though it's been a lot of fun, and I might even do a list at the, after the last Nitro about the 10 great things from WCW's last year. I'm going to tell you one of those things right now would be Lance Storm. Fucking hell, Lance Storm at least was featured like a star, and they featured some good talent, but goddamn, let's jump right on into it. They recap all the Goldberg stuff, that funeral, that mock funeral thing that took about 18 years to complete. And then Nash confronting Flair's group. And then we cut to last week where basically everybody's watching backstage. They're watching Sid's leg break. And they show it. They show clips of it on a TV monitor. That's a great way to do it. They cut it on the WWE Network feed. And WWE figured, okay, well, everybody didn't see it there. But they don't mind seeing it here. Yeah, we fucking do. It was goddamn gross. Fucking hell, that was gross. Anyway, Shivani and Scott Hudson talk about the upcoming corporate merger. They have new owners. What is the future of WCW? It ain't good, let me tell you that. And then here's Flair's group. Animal is his bodyguard. And Flair's thing, well, you pay to see the unit. The big unit. No, I'm not talking about Randy Johnson. So anyway, Super Brawl Revenge plugs. Man, that pay-per-view is a real goddamn mess. Even though Steiner versus Nash wasn't that bad, there were a couple other good matches. There was just nothing going on that was going to save this company. Goldberg mentioned, and then Scott takes credit for Sid's leg break. Well, everybody takes credit for Sid's leg break. It's like, hey, we meant for it to happen. No, you didn't, and it was kind of bad that they actually worked that into a storyline. They had to have known that the company was going to be sold soon. There was no way Sid was going to be back. Sid wouldn't have been back for even a goddamn year at that point. Anyway, Flair wants to mention Scott Steiner's #1 contender for Super Brawl. Hey, here's Alex Wright. That guy that's been a perennial mid-carder and somehow got like a pretty hefty contract for the last 2 years of his career. Good on him for getting money, but man, they burned a lot of money with a lot of people. And then Nash shows up. Alex is upset and slaps him. That doesn't end well as he gets powerbombed through a not-so-staged part of the, stage. And then he says, well, I guess I'm the #1 contender. And Flair, no, you're not going to be that Nash. Nash, Nash, Nash. He yells Nash a lot. I guess he loved Nash Bridges. And then Miller shows up because he's the commissioner. I have spoken. Nash versus Scott is official. Flair says, well, hey, it's going to be Buff versus Nash tonight. And it's like a qualifier. Nash has to win to get that. Okay, whatever. No interference. And also Lex and DDP is going to happen. There's no interference in that. Well, I mean, there's going to be interference, but they can't basically have... Everybody was just so goddamn jumbled in this fucking promo. I think Flair, in all honesty, lost where he was. It's like Lex and DDP. Okay, well, Buff and Nash can't interfere in that. Just them, though, because we get more interference later. And Nash has to beat Buff Bagwell. This went on forever. And then we get Chavo and Sanders talking. Sanders says, well, Flair thinks you can be the #1 guy. Or you have a chance to be the #1 guy. And then we're going to have 2 new cruiserweights. And the wall says we're going to need 2 new body bags. Bit dark, that. And Flair then has to basically brief Scott and Jarrett as they get to the arena. Seemingly everybody could just show up whenever. And then we get Mike Modest versus Christopher Daniels with hair. I want to say right now that Christopher Daniels has really come a long way. And this must have been nerve-wracking for both of them, even though Daniels have been wrestling for a number of years. I'm not that familiar with Mike Modest. You could tell these guys were a little bit nervous, though, being on this big stage. Because Daniels slips at one point, almost lands on his head. It picked up from there. There was a nice splash outside. Some, good stuff. He actually did hit what would later be called the BME, the best moonsault ever. And, but would just get a 2 count and an air raid crash, and Modest would get a 2 count. And then it's like they're both outside. Like I think Moz hit a crossbody. They're both outside. They get back in the ring, and then Scott Steiner just takes his lengthy hard pipe and beats both of them, and then snaps their legs. And then they're carried out. And he mentions Sid's injury. And Nash, I don't fake it, I break it, because now he's the leg breaker, the hit maker, the record breaker. No, he just is doing this because Scott Steiner's a nut on TV and in real life. Apparently a nice guy, but also a nut. And then we get footage of Scott Steiner attacking Daniels while he's on the stretcher. Then Kwee wants competition. Don't make him angry. Wouldn't like him when he's angry. Why would I have a woman like Paisley if I wasn't all man? And then he challenges a security guard that he beats up. That's pretty much where we're at right now. Team Canada, the usual promo. Storm challenges Conan, says, hey, let's end this, friggin' war between these two factions. It hasn't really been much of a war. And so they have a match. There really isn't much of anything to this. We get a cat fight between the women, a brawl between everybody else. Storm gets sent over onto Mike Awesome. However, that being said, Conan does eventually get trapped in the Maple Leaf and has to tap out. So Team Canada just wins in a feud that really didn't have much to it and just ended with an even, smaller whimper than it started. And then Shane Douglas wants to be on Flair's team. Luger and Buff say, take the cat out and you're in. Okay, easy to do, seemingly. Hugh Morris and Lash LaRue talk about facing the Wall and Chavo. And actually, he becomes Hugh Morris by saying, well, I'm not General Erection. You forgot about Hugh Morris. And he starts laughing, doing all the stuff that, got Hugh Morris right to the lower mid-card that he was. And we got to go back to who we are. And then Luger versus DDP. It wasn't good at all because it was interference-filled, and Luger was goddamn shot. Ref gets hit, so he's down. Jeff Jarrett hits DDP with the fucking acoustic equalizer, and then we get the rack on there, and DDP's tapped out, or, knocked out, so the ref calls it, and that's it. Then Luger is going to be the ref in the main event. We then get Vito and Johnny the Bull versus Stasiak and Jindrak. It was alright. It was random. And then there's a double pin. Palumbo and O'Hare show up and try to say, hey, ref, one of these guys is a legal man, the other one isn't. They're trying to argue. They shove the ref, which causes a DQ win for Vito and Johnny the Bull. And the Thrillers are arguing backstage. Sanders is trying to get them to calm down. Flair says, hey, Sanders, come over here and talk to me. You're going to be my protege, my number one guy. And then Shane cuts a promo saying he will take out Miller. Miller then says he will face, Jeff will face DDP at Super Brawl. And that this match with Shane is for the U.S. title. Except it isn't. Flair says it's for the commissionership and it's no DQ. So Miller's going to lose. No, he doesn't. Sanders runs in. He gets laid out. O'Hare gets a kick dodge, but hits a big clothesline. Rick Steiner comes down, helps Miller get a high kick for 3. So the U.S. champion in a non-title match gets pinned. Granted, it's Shane Douglas, so he doesn't fucking mean anything. And then Rick does the white man dance, and actually dances better than some other people, but that was kind of comical for whatever reason. And so Miller keeps the commissionership, and then we have Chavo in the Wall versus Hugh Morris and Lash LaRue. MIA explodes, and sadly, this was probably the best match on the show, which is saying something. It wasn't great, but it breaks into a brawl a little bit later. At least it had something to it. It didn't have interference. It had bullshit in it because you didn't really care about some of these guys, but at least it had something. And then the most devastating maneuver in all of professional wrestling, surprise roll-up, 1, 2, 3, Chavo Guerrero pins Lash LaRue. And then we get Buff versus Nash. Luger is the ref. First, Luger tries to cut a promo, fails to do so. Buff puts him over, and it's the last 7 minutes once the bell rings. Seriously, that's what it was. Luger playing favorites. We eventually get an inadvertent chair shot, even though Luger totally meant to hold the chair there. And then DDP comes down just as it looks like Nash is about to be beat, because he's got to beat Buff Bagwell to get this shot. Well, diamond card to Luger, because Luger said in the promo, I will take this hand, and I will count 1, 2, 3 by the end of the match. And then jackknife to Buff, and they do the old thing with, Austin and Vince, when Austin took on Dude Love. 1, 2, 3. And that's it right there. So that show ended without any shenanigans. Oh, no, wait, Scott Steiner, Chronic, DDP, Jarrett, Road Warrior Animal, everybody come in, and that's basically it right there. I'm so glad that I'm done with this stuff in a couple months. I'm jumping ahead with a whole lot of it while I have free time. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of these well before the 20-year, anniversary hits. But guess what? It's all for fun. And honestly, there have been some good things in WCW 2000/2001. They're just, buried in a sea of bad booking and messy booking and endless, run-ins and a whole bunch of bullshit. Anyway, agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.